Welcome to the Cheer Athlete. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about a post that I saw on a Facebook group recently, and I knew that we immediately needed to talk about it. That question stemmed from a coach's desire to start their cheer team, which is not really competitive, doing tumbling classes once a week off-site. And I love this question because I know a lot of parents and athletes probably have the same question. And the answers that were in the post surprised me a little bit. Maybe the athlete didn't grow up tumbling. Maybe they are starting to get more serious about cheer. Maybe the coach just wants to build in some outside conditioning. And maybe I think it's a great idea because I think the coach is looking and seeing this is something I can't offer my team, but it might be good for them. So today we're going to break this down. We're going to talk about, is 16 too late to start? What are the benefits of starting tumbling at that age? What are the risks? And how do you know if it's being done the right way? Welcome to the Cheer Athlete Podcast, where we bring coaches, parents, and athletes expert tips and advice to help keep cheerleaders healthy, strong, and at the top of their game. Now let's go. The real question isn't, is 16 too late? A better question to ask is the athlete prepared for tumbling? Because age doesn't automatically tell us anything about strength, control, coordination, or readiness. I've seen 10-year-olds doing advanced tumbling skills with really poor control, and they look really sloppy, and they have a lot of injuries. I've also seen 16-year-olds who are brand new and learn quickly. I myself wasn't able to learn how to tumble. I was scared because I had an injury at 6 years old. I was doing cartwheels, which were beautiful, except I slipped in the grass and I broke my collarbone. And then I was in gym class at age 12, and I was doing a forward roll into a to a spring up. They call it a head roll. I don't think they do them anymore, thank goodness, because it hurt. And my second collarbone fracture did not make me very happy. And then I was 12 and doing a handstand and trying to do a walkover on my front yard, and my arm gave out. Just because I was younger doesn't mean that I was a better equipped to learn. Fast forward to when I was in college, and James Speed came out to do our choreography, and he was like, "Come on, Laura, let's learn a back handspring." And I was 22, I think, at the time, maybe 21, and he was spotting me on handsprings. I was so scared. I couldn't do it. I never got the skill. But I finally started to learn how to go backwards. And it taught me at that time, like, oh, I probably could get stronger with this. So had I put the effort in and learned better, I probably would have been a better athlete and better cheerleader on a whole. It doesn't matter the age. What we want to start is more on how your athletes start. Are they going with control? Are they learning the right techniques? And are they starting to get stronger in the process? What are the benefits of starting at a later age? Let's talk about them. And there's actually a lot of positives. First of all, an older athlete has better body awareness. They're going to understand the coaching cues better. They're going to be able to focus better. They're going to maybe know their limits a little bit better. And they're going to make adjustments faster. And they're going to have more awareness of where their body is in space. And that's really huge for tumbling. There's also more strength potential. Teen athletes, especially when they're post-puberty, have a much better ability to build true strength. That's going to help with their power. It's going to help with their landing control. It's going to help with injury prevention, which you know that I am passionate about. There's actually a well-known model by Lloyd and Oliver Youth Physical Development Model of 2012 that shows that adolescence is a prime time to develop strength and movement skills. So when you're starting at 16, you're actually in a good window for learning new physical skills. There's also mental maturity. An older athlete tends to think through what they're doing. They kind of understand the risk versus reward. And they may be a little less impulsive than just throwing and chucking something. That doesn't mean they won't be nervous, but it does mean that they're more coachable. Learning tumbling at a later age also will transfer to other cheer skills. It's going to improve jumps. It's going to improve their power for when they're stunting. It's going to improve their coordination. It's going to improve confidence. So even if they don't actually become a tumbler, it still benefits their overall performance. It will carry over for any stunting they're going to do. It's going to carry over into sharper motions. So if they're not even building, it's going to help that coordination. I think every child should start with tumbling skills, whether they're a cheerleader or not. It helps their whole athletic development. And when they can learn that control, starting at a lower level, even if it's a forward roll or a cartwheel, it's going to help their overall body awareness and control. So let's talk about some risks. Because yes, there are risks involved, of course. There's a cost to it. And we're not going to talk about that because there's a cost to everything these days, right? You have to pay to play. It's just the way of the world. Now, the biggest risk of starting later is if the program is actually not structured. If they are progressing, if the coach is taking them and being like, you're going to get a handspring, but you can't even do a cartwheel yet, or you don't have the body awareness to get through a forward roll, a backward roll, that's a higher risk. They're a higher risk of injury because they're not developing those skills, those baseline skills. You're not going to have somebody throwing a double full basket unless they can actually do a twist from a prep. You're not going to start doing a basket toss unless they can actually do a prep, right? They need to have those baseline skills. And the same goes for learning gymnastics and tumbling. If they do too much too fast, this is the biggest risk. When they are jumping right into multiple classes, doing high reps and high volume and doing advanced skills without a baseline foundation, they are high risk of injury. Research by DeFiore and all called Overuse Injuries in Youth Sports in 2014 shows that increase in training load actually significantly increases risk. So if they're going from 0 to 2000 and they're doing 1,000 reps, they're more at risk of an injury. That's a bigger risk than their actual age. But once a week to get in and learn foundational skills and to actually do the training is not going to create a higher risk of injury. It actually is probably going to be very helpful for them because they're going to do more strength and conditioning. They're going to do proper warm-ups, and they're going to start to just learn basic skills. So it's not about progressing at an age, it's about progressing too fast and doing too much all at once. A big risk factor is flexibility without control. I talk about this a lot. Just because an athlete is flexible doesn't mean that they're ready for tumbling. In fact, flexibility without strength is instability, and that sets you up for a bigger risk. You've heard me say this before, control matters more than flexibility. Hopefully, in a good gymnastics program, they're going to teach control. They're going to be having them do conditioning work, like planks, like push-ups, like basic handstands to build that strength and control. And that will carry over. Even if they don't compete, that's really important skills to develop that control and not just the flexibility. A third risk is skipping the basics, going right into handsprings, back tucks without learning the core control, their shoulder stability, the landing mechanics. That's why we have to do that coordination of a cartwheel. You look at my cartwheel now, and really, if you look at my cartwheel in college, there was no way I should be doing working on a handspring. It was terrible. I didn't have that control, and partly I was scared, and partly I didn't develop that over time. But you can develop that control, and that can carry over later into life as well. It's going to help on landing mechanics for jumps, and if we don't have that control on the landing mechanics, we're not going to land our handsprings. So learning that control is a big benefit of going to gymnastics, and it can also be a risk factor if you're not getting that control. All right, so something you can definitely use right away. If your athlete is starting to tumble, here's how to tell if it's a good situation. A good program, and it gives you the green light, if they're starting off with the basics, learning how to roll, learning how to cartwheel, learn how to land, using the equipment to be able to get comfortable and going backwards. There's a focus on strength and conditioning. If the coaches are emphasizing form over getting a skill fast, if the progressions are clear and gradual, your athlete understands what they're working on. Those are all green lights to go ahead. Some red flags would be jumping straight into advanced skills, doing a lot of reps and high volume all at once, coaching that says, just throw it, don't worry about it. No strength work or prep work included. And if pain is being ignored and just brushed off. I'd also say if the coach is looking, one positive for a coach looking to start gymnastics is they're not just looking at today. Your team today is a foundation for your team in the future. So maybe the 16 and 17-year-old don't end up tumbling, but maybe the 14-year-old does, and they progress through. And then the team progresses and develops over time, especially in high school. This is a developing process, right? It's not just about today. So if that's the coach's goal for it, why not support it? Your athlete is only going to be better in the process. So I want to talk also about adults starting tumbling classes. I think, I often think, okay, maybe I'll go back and start to take a tumbling class and see if that is beneficial for me at this point. Because there's a lot of core conditioning. There's a lot of upper body strength. There's a lot of lower body strength. You develop the strength, which is really good for someone who's in menopause and needs to keep their bone health. I'm still scared. I don't have time. I have a lot of excuses, but there's a lot of benefits to starting even later in life. It's going to improve coordination and balance. It will help you build strength. It's going to keep your brain engaged and learning a new skill. So even for kids, that's the same thing. They start to learn a new skill at any point in time. It just keeps them moving forward. Research like Myers et al. In neuromuscular training 2013 supports that neuromuscular training improves performance and reduces injury risk even later in life. And this neuromuscular training that you get with gymnastics training will help teach a good proper warm-up, which I talk about all the time. That helps to prevent ACL injuries, and it trains motor control, which is super important as we progress in cheer and throughout life. But the approach matters. We want more gradual progressions. We want more focus on strength first. We want modified skills as needed. And honestly, sometimes it's not about doing that full tumbling pass. It's about learning the jumps, the landings, the control. All that plays into what we need to do on the sidelines for cheer. Yes, if your cheerleader is progressing and going to do all-star and doing more advanced skills, great. But it also is very beneficial for your athlete just on the sidelines. So some key takeaways from the research that I read. 16 is not too late to start. In many ways, it can be used to an advantage if it's done the right way. My just learning how to, just getting chucked into doing a back handspring without seeing that I couldn't really hold my body weight. It didn't focus on the strength that I had. It didn't focus on my control, and it wasn't giving me the proper progressions. And those are all really important as your athlete starts. It's not just about getting the skills as fast as possible. I do think it is okay to start cheering, to start gymnastics. I think it's okay to start cheering at age 16. Maybe they're not going to be the top all-star. Maybe they're not going to go on to compete on a world team. Maybe they're not going to compete at college nationals, but maybe they're going to have fun in the process and learn a new skill. And isn't that what it is all about? And being an athlete in general? I'll leave you with this. It's not about when you start. It's about how you build. It's how you take those progressions. If this is something that you're navigating with your athlete, or if you're not sure where to start, feel free to reach out to me. I have my injury prevention starter kit for cheer moms, which talks about warm-ups, which is really important for all aspects of cheer. Talks about stretching at the end and cool down exercises, which will help your athletes improve both in cheer, in gymnastics, and in life. And there's other information about when it's okay to start doing X, Y, and Z skills and other red lights and green lights to be able to move ahead and prevent injury. So if you're interested, check out the link below. That's it's a great resource for you, and it can help you to keep moving forward. My dad and I went to a doctor's appointment yesterday for him, routine cardiology appointment, and we were driving and looking at the trees, and he just said, I was thinking the other day, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is today. And I think that applies to learning gymnastic skills and tumbling. So if you're hesitant, go for it. Just remember they have to start gradual, and they may not get to the advanced level skills. Even one little step of progress is going to help you and be beneficial. I hope that's helpful. I hope you have a great week. If you have any questions about this, you can fill out the Ask a PT form, or questions about other skills and injury prevention, please ask, and I will happy to address that on the podcast. Have a great week. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe out. Take life one step at a time. You can do anything you put your mind to. And as my friend Drew Kelleher said, you're responsible for your own vibes. Go get the day.